Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be rounding out our top 5 favorite color videos with the color brown. Now I do want to make the distinction that this series is not over. We are still going to be working on our top 5 favorite brushes and papers and brands in future episodes, but I did want to wrap up the colors here. We've done the primary colors, we've done the secondary colors, and now we are going to do browns. I know a lot of you were anticipating that this would be an earth tones episode, but I have stealthily hid in a few of my favorite earth tones in other videos where appropriate, such as the yellow ochre and quinacridone gold in the yellow video. We had quinacridone burnt orange in the oranges video, and so today we can just be focused on some nice earthy brown colors. As usual, let's get started by going ahead and talking about the colors that we are going to be mixing our browns with today, starting with PY 154. This is Permanent Yellow Light from Mission Gold. You've seen it from me many times. Then we've got PY 150, which is Nickel Azo Yellow. I don't think I've used this in the mixing segments of any of the videos aside from our yellows video where it was featured. So I'm excited to show you that here. We've got PR 254, which is Pyrrole Red from Daniel Smith. And another new one for our mixing segment is PV 19 from Rembrandt. This is Permanent Red Violet. It's a very cool version of PV 19. Next up, we've got Pigment Violet 23, that's Dioxazine Violet. This one I believe is from Winsor & Newton. We've got PB 29, which is Ultramarine Deep from Sennelier. PB 60, which is Anthraquinone Blue from MGRAHAM. Also from MGRAHAM, we've got PB 28, which is their Cobalt Teal. Then we are rounding out with a couple of greens from PG 7, that's Phthalo Green from Daniel Smith, and PBK 31, which is Pearlane Green, also from Daniel Smith. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into our list, starting with our number 5. Coming into our final spot at number 5 is Raw Umber, made from PBR7, which we will see a couple more times on this list. This version is from Core, which granulates pretty heavily, but if you'd like a less granulating version, I also really like MGRAHAM's. And this is a color that is a very cool brown, and for that reason, it wasn't really on my palette for quite a long while because I didn't like the color on its own. However, in recent months, I've realized how useful it is for landscapes and portraitures, so I've gone ahead and added it to my main palette and of course to this list here. Now, one of the driving factors for me adding this color to my palette was when I heard about Raw Umber Violet, and it's a color that I believe Daniel Smith makes. I don't know if other brands carry it as well, but it's also really easy to mix. So rather than buying the pre-mixed tube that would only be useful for those applications, I went ahead and bought Raw Umber, added it to my palette, and when I mix it with PV19, as you can see here, it makes a beautiful deep brownish purple color. It is by far my favorite color on this mixing swatch, but there are some others that I like as well, including when it's mixed with the Anthraquinone Blue PB60. It makes this beautiful, deep, moody blue. And mixed with Phthalo Green, it actually makes some really cool granulating dark forest greens. When mixed with Pearlane Green, it doesn't change the hue too much, although it does bring it down to be a bit more moody, and with this version, with Cores, it does granulate quite a lot as well. I don't know if the same effects would happen if you mixed it with another brand like MGRAHAM. Coming in at number 4 is another new favorite for me. This is from MGRAHAM. It is TERRA ROSA PR 101, and I think TERRA ROSA is just their take on a Venetian red. Now, I'm not sure why I gravitate so much to this particular version of this color, but I find it really gorgeous, and I absolutely love it for the little kitten noses and the insides of ears and things like that. It fades into a really nice pink color. Of course, it is more opaque, so it's a little bit different than my normal lineup, but we've got some beautiful color combinations here. Mixed with our yellows, we get some nice soft brownish orange type colors, and I absolutely love the brick red color that we get when we mix it. Crick, really? Really, Cricket? Okay. I love this color when we mix it with a warm Pyrrole Red. We get a nice earthy brick color, and mixed with our purple, we get a really kind of neutral, grayish, deep purple color as well. Perhaps my favorite combination with this color was one of the first ones that I explored with it, and that is the Anthraquinone Blue, the PB60. We get a really deep, versatile gray that very easily fluctuates between a warmer gray and a cooler gray. I really love how it separates on the paper, and it makes for a lot of variety in your paintings. I don't exactly know what you'd use it for, but I do particularly like the granulation when you mix it with MGRAHAM's Cobalt Teal here, because you get this deep moody blue granulation that separates away from the pink, and it looks pretty neat. Again, I'm not sure what you'd use it for, but I do find it pretty fascinating in the swatches. Coming in at number 3 is our Permanent Brown from Daniel Smith. Now, some of you might not be familiar with this color. It's not very common, but I don't know why. It is made from PBR 25, and in hue, it's actually very similar to the TERRA ROSA we had before, but this version is much more transparent, and it does have the ability to get a little bit richer in its mass tone. I adore the colors that this makes. Again, they're pretty similar in hue to the colors that we got from TERRA ROSA, but with a transparent spin, and the textures are a little bit different. So rather than granulating and having these separated mixtures, we get some really neat little blooms that tend to happen with this particular color, at least on this Canson XL paper that I'm doing my swatches on. I really love the light to middle shade of brown that you get when you mix it with PY 154, and I also really like the soft purples that it makes. Mixed with the anthraquinone blue, the anthraquinone blue also, if you remember from that video, it does this kind of weird separaty texture-y type thing, so you get a different type of texture with this mixture than we did with the TERRA ROSA, but it isn't really good for smooth washes, so I wouldn't recommend it for that necessarily. All in all, I absolutely love this color as it is right out of the tube, and I think it's beautiful for my type of subjects where I'm painting a lot of animals, especially for horses. It just kind of calls to me for that bay undertone on a horse, so I am hoping to add this to my permanent palette. It's already made its way onto several of my travel palettes. Coming in at number 2 is Burnt Umber, so we're back to PBR 7, and this one had to duke it out with number 1 because I do like this color quite a lot, and I find it incredibly versatile as well. Here with this color, we come back around to similarly how we did with the Raw Umber. It makes a beautiful shade of violet when you mix it with the red violet there on the bottom of the first row, and it's actually my favorite version of a gray tone when you mix it with ultramarine or anthraquinone blue. I know a lot of people, including myself, really love the burnt sienna ultramarine combination, but this one gets even darker, and I like it a little bit better for that reason because there's more value to work with. I think mixed with the greens, it provides some really beautiful, versatile dark greens that are really lovely and moody for any shadow type areas that you'd be painting onto a forest, and Daniel Smith's version is very heavily granulating. I did want to go ahead and mention my other favorite version of this color, which is fairly new to my collection, but I'm very, very thankful to have it, and that is from Prush. That's Eve Bolt's brand of watercolors that she hand makes herself, and I fell in love with this pan when she sent it to me. It has a gorgeous rich undertone, and it has a little bit less granulation than the Daniel Smith, but a lot of the colors are as vibrant, if not more vibrant, and I just wanted to go ahead and give her a little nod in this video because I love it so much. I'm sure by process of elimination you have figured out our number 1 by now, and that is none other than Burnt Sienna, once again made from PBR 7. Now if you have any questions about how many different versions of PBR 7 there are, maybe you're not as familiar, I do have a color spotlight on Burnt Sienna and I talk about the other versions. I'll go ahead and put a link to that up in the upper right hand corner so you can go ahead and see that more thorough explanation, but let's just go ahead and talk about the colors here. Now the version of this color that I have on my main palette is from Daniel Smith, and I poured out an obscene amount of this paint when I went ahead and set up my palette, so I don't think it's going anywhere for a while, but I have used another version of this color that I actually enjoy a little bit more. I'm showing you DaVinci's Burnt Sienna here, and I really love the richness and depth of this brand. It makes some really, really gorgeous light browns, almost kind of like a raw sienna when you mix it with our yellow tones. It makes some beautiful soft red and orange colors when mixed with our reds and purples. We have, of course, got that classic combination with ultramarine for the Jane's Gray. Jane's Gray is made with Daniel Smith's version, which I'll show you in just a moment. DaVinci's version of this gray is a little bit darker and richer, but I do like the softness of the Daniel Smith version as well. Mixed with our anthraquinone blue, it has this gorgeous deep gray tone, just like some of the other browns that we have talked about, and the greens are okay. They're nothing to write home about. What I really love this color for is its versatile use between the yellows, reds, and blues. It is worth mentioning that the Daniel Smith version is very different from many other brands, and that is the one that I typically compare all of my other burnt siennas to because that was the first brand I ever had. This version that granulates really, really heavily is also very pink, and when you tone it down, it's actually very similar in application to that TERRA ROSA that we talked about earlier, and I use it for a lot of pinks in natural settings like the insides of ears and on the tips of noses. So depending on what version you like, can depend on what you want to put on your palette. If you've been around this channel for long, you know that I'm not a big fan of the orange versions of this made from PR 101. It's not that I don't like that color, I just think that they belong more in the quinacridone burnt orange family than in a burnt sienna family. I am sorry that this video has been a little bit rushed. My roommate came home and needs to cook dinner in our kitchen, which is right next to my office. So I'm trying to wrap this up as quickly as I can. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me along this top 5 favorite colors, but be sure to tune in next week because we are not done. We still have brushes and paper and brands to cover. Go ahead and let me know in the comments below which one you are most eager to see, and maybe that's the one I'll put up first. If you are in Southern California this weekend that the video is releasing, be sure to come by Anime LA in Ontario, California, where I will be at table number 114 in the Artist Alley Pavilion. I would love to see you there. You can go ahead and check my social media like Twitter or Instagram for more information. And if you say that you know me from YouTube, I will be sure to have a little extra something for you. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Be sure to let me know in the comments below which video you want to see next in this series, and I will of course see you in the next video. Have a wonderful weekend.